Good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Poet to Poet. I'm Robert Dunn, the editor-in-chief of the New Press Literary Quarterly, and we're pleased to bring to you a rather unusual show. We have a marvelous poet in the person of Larissa Shmailo, and if that's not enough for you, we have the world's second tallest folk singer lawyer in Monty Delaney, and you've never seen two more fascinating people in your life, especially if this is your first time watching the show. We're coming to you tonight from one of the New York metropolitan area's premier moose lodges, the Loyal Order of the Moose in Richmond Hill, lodge number 14, and we are courting our moose tonight, something like that. So, and we're very grateful to the lodge governor, Joseph Catalano, and the lodge secretary, Sal Lombardo, and the treasurer, cook, and chief bottle washer, Rick Pagnotta. I think I'm close there. And we're very grateful for them to let us have the hall for the evening so that we can make public spectacles of ourselves in private. Anyway, why don't we get on to some of our guests, the whole two of them. But I think we'll start with Larissa Shmailo because I've been waiting for this. Now, Larissa is a writer and a fundraiser, always a very opportune combination. She lives in Manhattan. She's a Russian translator, so if you have any Russians you need translated, give her a buzz. She translated the Russian futurist opera Victory Over the Sun, which is about umbrellas. And that was performed in the Los Angeles County Museum, which is a little bit west of here, as a matter of fact. But the opera did get a performance at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, which is always nice. She's been a featured poet at the Knitting Factory, where she brought her own needles. She's done a few for us, including a Barnes & Noble or two. And The Red Door. I have a few names for that one, too, but it's all in fun. She was also, believe it or not, she lived in North Carolina for a while, and she was a prima ballerina with the Charlotte Russe, which is how we tie in the Russian there. And she's the poetry will appear in Grist and the New Press and Nomad's Choir, where she sang tenor. And we're going to run a short story of hers. And she's got a novel seeking a publisher. The novel is called Patient Women, but we'd better find a publisher quickly because the women are not as patient as they're cracked up to be. Larissa, welcome to Poet to Poet.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Robert.
And I wasn't even paid for it either.
Not a cent.
All right, why don't we get right into a poem or two?
All right, a poem or two. My first poem is called Dancing with the Devil. They say that if you flirt with death, you're going to get a date. But I don't mind. The music's fine. And I love dancing with someone who can really lead. Quantum love. The universe is hot, expanding, immediate. And this explosion is a paradox, a particle and a wave. Discrete and continuous, relative, absolute, and real. Time itself surrenders to the Big Bang. Space finds new dimensions, and space-time curves like I do to your energy, to your gravity, to the new age of relativity, and our energy and our mass and our energy times light are exponential. Light speed squared, defying gravity, exploding creation, a unified field.
Ah, yes. Speaking of speaking of unified fields, this is the story of my life. I can understand women moving away from me in bars, but on my own show? I mean, really, Larissa? Tell us another one.
Another one? Well, all right. This is on a very different note, and it's called Planet Incest. Alien, I walk among you, hiding my anger, plasma of a star, yellow and dying, casting an old light, hiding my strangeness and my scars, tattooed on my arms, cut by my own hand, when bleeding seemed better than feeling, and knowing what I know. I'm not wanted here, I know. My lonely physics proves that acts don't always have their opposite effect. Enter my Auschwitz universe, you'll find. You can't make good my wrongs, redeem my loss, turn tragedy into triumph, find the blessing in my pain. My planet is not visible. In my dreams I scream, I cry, my lips move ceaselessly. The telescope, I say, the telescope, please look. But glimpsing planet incest, the fine minds turn away. The universe is just, they mutter. God is kind. The missing mass remains unseen. Do you think I choose to live in outer space? I long to be one of you, to say I too have a father protector. I too know mother love. I long to live in your world where God is good, where even crucifixion has meaning, where love is stronger than death. I long to live in your world where evil is misunderstood, and Satan, an actor cast by God, removes his mask at the end of the play. But Satan comes to my world and fills my mouth with fear, and still I fight to breathe. But God does not intervene. A man's home is his castle. The fine minds look away. The universe is saved. Alien, I walk among you, hiding my anger, plasma of a star, yellow and dying, casting an old light, hiding my strangeness and my scars, tattooed on my arms, cut by my own hand. When bleeding seemed better than feeling, when bleeding seemed better than living and knowing what I know.
That's quite a dramatic piece. Monty, I understand you had legal dealings with that planet at some point.
I think there's incest between planets.
Watch that kind of talk. Now,
hell of a therapist to fix that.
Larissa, what brings you to the point where you can write that sort of material? What motivates you?
I think my own experience, the experience of other women and other poets, that have found. See, for most situations of abuse, whatever they may be, one of the most important prerequisites is silence. Poetry is one way of getting a situation across to people, perhaps of getting it across in a way that they'd be able to hear, because this is a subject that people often don't like to talk about, don't want to talk about, and yet it exists. And I think that the survivors of trauma in general, people who have survived trauma, find it real hard to talk about, whether it's a concentration camp or the incest. So, the poetry becomes that medium.
Yes.
There's such a stigma attached to being a victim, and I think that when artists try to express honestly their own experiences, that makes it easier sometimes for other people to come out and get past that stigma and speak and get help and talk.
Yeah, and then the other side of the coin is that I know that a lot of poets that I've listened to, and I felt victimized just by listening to them. Fortunately, tonight is not one of those evenings, so Larissa, let's keep going. How about another little goodie there?
Let me read something which I call Defrocked. A decision and a little bell rung half-heartedly for a dry host that sticks to my tongue and the roof of my mouth. Oh, let us leave this tired chalice. God, unprovable reality, is light too bright for this place of guttering candles and sputtering men. Come walk with me in the sun. Take communion with a smart-mouthed girl. Laugh and make wine. Tell me a story. I'll cast out your demons. We'll slay dragons. We'll be saints. Walk out with me on the street. Leave go the money. Satan spits money. You were meant for miracles, to lie down in green pastures, to anoint my head with oil. Leave the order and the right. Take the spirit. Leave the law. Defrock. Convert. Come to Mama. Come to church.
Okay, you can give me the address later on that. So you do Russian translations.
Yes,
We're doing a lot of Russian around tonight.
I can translate everything you say into perfect broken English. Yes.
That's good to know. A lot of people told me that I've been needing somebody like that for quite some time. As a matter of fact, do you ever write a poem in Russian?
No. Well, maybe.
I know. There's one I'm dying to hear about your 6 month program.
Well, perhaps I can read the first. How are you saying it? Paragraph in, and then I can translate back into English.
Okay, as we say in Moscow.
As we say in Moscow. Здравствуйте, антивилант. Спасибо. Окей, хорошо, очень хорошо. Здравствует советский народ. For 6 months with you. For 6 months with you, I would. I can't do this.
Why not? Why not? It's going real good.
All right. For 6 months with you. No, I'm going to do this.
Try not to laugh now.
Okay, I'm going to do this straight now.
It may take 6 months.
Right.
Okay. For 6 months with you, this poem is called. Yeah. For 6 months with you, I would quit my lover, leave the city, sell my books. For 6 months with you, I would live in Kansas, join a carpool, shave my legs. For 6 months with you, I would be an actress, wait on tables, burn this poem. But what if it doesn't work out? If it doesn't work out, I'll join a convent. If it doesn't work out, I'll cut my hair. If it doesn't work out, I'll leave the country. If it doesn't work out, I still don't care. For 6 months with you, I would break the true law, break my poor heart, break my vow. Now, ask me what I'd do for a year or two.
What would you do for a year or two?
I think you know all that.
Actually, that's about the best offer I've had all year. And then, we'll take it up after the show. Is poetry your only creative vice, or do you indulge in other little escapades?
I'm afraid I'm guilty of prose, too.
Prose?
I'm also guilty of prosifying.
Dear.
Prosifying, yes.
Oh, dear. And that novel you were talking about, Patient Women. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me the truth. Are women really patient, or is this just a story?
We have to be. We have to be. Have you ever lived with a man? Have you ever been married to a man?
Not in my collective memory, no. That's
Okay. Let me explain to you that we have to be patient. We have to be patient. We have to patiently explain things to you over and over again to get things done the right way. You know, you have to constantly be explaining things.
Sorry, what?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Oh.
You know.
Oh, yes, quite so.
Simple things like cleaning the house, mixing, like, you know, a man's a biochemist, an organic chemist in profession, but in the morning he doesn't know how to mix the frozen orange juice. You have to explain that to them, you know. Yeah.
Well, it's those little cups that confuse us.
Yeah,
you see.
I'm sure.
And because the night before we've gone out and gotten pulped, I think that's that's the real problem. Anyway, on that happy note, Larissa, I want to thank you for coming on the Poet, and we will be back in a moment with Monty Delaney and his voice and his guitar and his astigmatism. So stay with us.